You have a new name called Sleepy Boy now.
Yep.
Sure.
Sleepy Boy Jordan. That's what it is. So I'm sorry. No, I
That's okay.
totally like it was. Yeah, I was set an alarm on my phone and I didn't hit like like go or something and just like
Mm-hmm.
conked out. So I'm really sorry. But hello everybody, we're live with on YouTube and on Twitch now. This is exciting. I'm really embarrassed. This has never happened before. But what are we talking about?
Wow. So we've gotten through the news. We had just finished up Bardic Inspiration, and we were about to start talking about our time, but we can go back. I was just a bunch of Lucian filling air because I thought for sure any minute now Jordan's gonna join. Any minute now Jordan's gonna join. So I
Yeah.
was like, I'll just fill air. I'll just fill air.
Oh man.
We can go back to the beginning in case there was anything that you wanted to. We kind of covered a little bit
Let's
of
see.
my view of Laurel Silverhand's Explorer kit, what I think might be the Monday announcement, but we haven't heard what Jordan has been thinking about all of this stuff. I mean, we've got a big announcement on the way this week.
Yeah.
We've got some stuff has kind of dropped on the internet. What have been your thoughts? Where's your mind been going to
Well,
try to think about?
um, sorry, people in chat. um, Let me get my windows up, and
There we go.
it's gonna be great.
Yeah, we'll just throw some
Um,
good questions.
yeah. So, Laurel Silverhand is the unmasked Lord of Waterdeep. And so a lot of people were upset that we're still in Waterdeep. But I was wondering, I guess my question, and you probably already talked about this, but I don't know, I'm recording, so we'll get a new show going. Is it gonna be another Waterdeep like set, or is this something like a Volo's Guide or a Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes? And I don't know, or a Xanathar's, where we're using that title, but it actually has nothing to do with the character in Waterdeep, or it's written in their like I don't know, cadence or something.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's to me, we could go back to Waterdeep, and it feels like they really like Waterdeep, and it would tie back into the computer game that they're going to be putting out, right? Because there's got to be some type of marketing push for that at some point.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, is this just a dice set and it's not tied to something? So are they trying to say, hey, we could put out 7 to 10 different dice sets throughout the year that aren't necessarily tied to a book, but are just nice dice sets. So this one's blue, so we'll do Laurel. Then we want to do a yellow one, so we'll tie that to something else. We want to do a red one, so we'll tie that to the Red Wizards of Thay. We want to do a black one, so we'll do a Black Dragon one or whatever. Is it a marketing thing, or what everybody else has been speculating, is it tied to a book like another Xanathar's or a resource book or a campaign book or an adventure book? So
well,
Monday we'll definitely know.
Yeah, every dice set that we've had so far is tied to a storyline, though. Right. And so that's where I was like, is this going to break off from that, or is this, I don't know. And I'm really upset. We didn't even get to talk about this. They were going to announce this on the 9th, on Thursday, right. And we were going to have all this stuff to talk about for our episode 99 show. And then you turn around and you're like, oh no, we don't have any of that. So it's just kind of like, I was frustrated that they are going to announce it on Monday, and then we have to wait a whole week before we can talk about it. And we'll have like our question and answer show. If I was going to speculate, I would say that the dice are selling well. They're like, oh, people like these Baldur's Gate dice. People like these Tomb of Annihilation dice. They've also figured out how to do the dice well, which is they know that we want 2d20s and like 4d6, for sneak attacks and things like that, or rolling stats. So they're giving you more than just a basic set of polyhedral dice. And I think they're like branching out. So yeah, this could be a standalone product, which is fine, but we know that there's a book behind it. We just don't know the title of the book. And so it makes more sense to me that it's tied to the book. And I think it's going to be a book of character options like Xanathar's. And it's not necessarily tied to the Laurel Silverhand at all. But who knows? I mean, that's like my hope. And I kind of talked about that on Twitter, and people were saying like, well, it's way too early for that would be a really quick turnover from the Unearthed Arcana to an actual book. And they've never done that before. Like they've always waited a lot longer with the Unearthed Arcana. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know. So I don't know. It's just kind of like, I thought that was weird. But if they have the information they have, then they can totally go around and do it. Like they can start the book as quick as they want if they have all the information and they feel like it's solid and they play tested it and things like that. So I don't know. Yeah,
we could just one up them if they're going to change schedules around. There's no reason why we can't just do a Monday night hot take show.
Oh yeah.
Where we could just get together Monday night and we could say, haha, you changed your announcement. We'll still do a show that's relevant and not a week later.
That could be way fun. We should totally do something like that.
Maybe. So we'll see. Maybe we'll talk about that. So that way we can get in on it and not have to wait. Because that happened to us before too, where we had just done our show, and then 2 hours later, a big announcement dropped. And we had to wait a whole week before we could talk about it. So, so we'll have to show them. We'll do that, so.
And then Wizards of the Coast changed their Twitter profile picture to something that looks Eberron-y to me.
I noticed you saying that, and some people were saying Mechanicus or like the plane of you know the Modrons is where some people were going with that. So you were thinking more Eberron.
Well, so we were talking about it in I was talking about it on Discord with people because a lot of people were saying it was I always say Mechanus, but I think you're right, it is Mechanus, which is the Modron plane of existence. Very gear centric and things like that. But if you look at the gear symbol on so every Wizards of the Coast book has like a symbol associated with it. Tomb of Annihilation had the demon skull and things like that. And this one, specifically the Eberron book, has a gear in the corner. And so if you look at that gear and you look at their Twitter profile picture, it's exactly the same. Like it's just the gear in shadow. And so that makes me think that either they updated their profile picture late, which some people were speculating, or they have an Eberron book, but it doesn't make sense to do an Eberron book tied with these Forgotten Realms dice. So I am leaning towards they forgot to update their profile picture, but I don't know. Speculate.
Well, and I also thought it was like on their Facebook.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't check Facebook.
Icon or something. I thought was the other thing, but maybe it was just Twitter.
Okay.
But yeah, I think what it is that everybody's trying to figure out what the big announcement is. So they're searching all these pages.
Yeah.
And they're trying to find, like, people are scouring Amazon. They're scouring bookstore pages. And they're scouring anything Wizards of the Coast to see if they can get some type of jump on it. I mean, there's still, will we get another Magic the Gathering tie-in book? Like, I loved Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica last year. Are we going to get one this year? Because they've already released several more card packs for Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
So I could see another book coming out that's based on some of that stuff or moving it forward. Plus, what are they going to do at the live show? We need to know what the campaign is going to be that they're running at the live show. And that's usually in March-ish.
I know. And I feel like they should announce that real fast. Yeah. Like it's kind of, I don't know, like other, I know it's not a convention, but other conventions have their space reserved a good, like 6 or 8 months in advance. Not that Wizards doesn't have the space reserved, but they're advertising it. You know, they're trying to get tickets and sales, and so
we can't even buy tickets yet. That's
because we don't know. So I don't know if it's happening, but I would have to think that it is because they've made it a tradition of it now. But part of me was like, well, are they at a point where they don't need to do that? But like, it's been growing every single time. So, but it's always been tied to a release of an story. Yeah, an adventure. Yeah. And this doesn't feel like an adventure to me. So, I don't know.
All right.
I'm still bummed that they just didn't tell us on Thursday. But.
That's true. That is true. So I went over my Bardic inspiration, which was kind of building towns on frontiers or like keep on the borderlands kind of gameplay, and it was all revolved around me playing Minecraft a lot this week. Minecraft bug, and it made me start thinking about what are some of the things that I like about Minecraft that I could pull into running a campaign on my tabletop. And then the second part of that was, hey, does anybody know of a Minecraft mod that lets you play Dungeons and Dragons? So does it have wizards and bards and paladins and fighters classes you can pick and yet still play in the Minecraft world on the computer? So hopefully our audience is scouring the internet for me, finding some cool mods that we can play. That'd be fun.
I have never played Minecraft.
Oh boy, you're missing out.
Am I? I've seen like the really cool, like I love what people make in Minecraft, and I think a long time ago somebody made a 1-to-1 scale of the next generation Starship Enterprise, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. And I was like, you can do some cool stuff in Minecraft, but I've never played it. I don't know. I like Legos. Maybe I should give it a shot.
There you go. Yeah, you should give it a shot.
Yeah. So my Bartok inspiration was on Twitter because I was reading and posting stuff on Twitter. But I had this silly idea where we always vilify the drow. And I really like the adventure Out of the Abyss. And the start of that adventure, you're captured by the drow and you're trying to escape the Underdark. And it's this weird place that you don't understand because the Underdark is odd and strange and Wonderland-ish kind of a thing. And I was like, what if you like wrote or stole things from Out of the Abyss? But what if you did a reverse Out of the Abyss? So you are a group of drow that are captured by surface dwellers, and you have to like deal with the fact that you have disadvantage because of the sun. And so then maybe you travel only at night and you try to find places to hide. And your whole goal is trying to get back to the Underdark. But you can't just dig a hole. Like you have to find specific like entry points into the Underdark. And I just wanted to do that. And then we got talking on Twitter of like, oh yeah, like are you trying to like stop the demons up below, or maybe the demons are above the world and you just want to get out of this place? But I like this idea of, and it made me think of like evil campaigns. Have you ever tried an evil campaign?
I have not tried.
And I haven't either, and I don't really want to. You had the same reaction that I had, where I'm like, I kind of want us to be heroes, but this would lend itself to be an evil campaign, I think, where people could dive in and run around as evil drow, so to speak, and you're fighting for survival, so it's not like, let's go burn down an orphanage, but you are more keen to taking care of stuff.
You're being hunted,
or
being perceived as evil, whether you are or not, and you can't talk your way out of it. You can't like say, no guys, I'm not evil.
Right.
It's all those other, it's just like they don't even give you the chance. So the whole campaign revolves around people who just immediately assume you're a monster.
Yeah.
And this world that you're in now are full of monster hunters.
Yeah.
And you're the monster.
Yeah. And like in Out of the Abyss, like you don't speak Undercommon usually. So you have a hard time communicating with these drow. And that could be the same thing. Like you speak Undercommon, you don't speak regular common, so you can't communicate with anybody. So I don't know. It seemed like a different twist. And it also got me thinking of doing like, this is something I wanted to do with dwarves for a while, but like themed campaigns where all of my players have to be one race. Like, okay, you guys all have to be dwarves. You're from this clan and you're going on a cool dwarf adventure and it's going to be awesome. And I think this would also lend itself to being something like that, where like you're all drow and you're trying to get back to the Underdark, and like one of you, but that's the catch. I'm going to run this game, but I need you to all be the same race. And I don't know, I've always felt like that would be really cool, but that's Jordan as a DM thinking about the larger picture. And I don't know if it's fun for a player for you to impose a lot of restrictions like that on a game.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Switching some mic volumes here.
Oh, okay. Jordan,
it would be interesting because there's a lot to it. You'd have to have the right players, like you said. You couldn't just spring that on anybody. It would be interesting to try, and I would love to do something like that where it is we tried in this new campaign that we're about to do pretty quick here. It is I tried to talk everybody to play halflings, but I couldn't get it. In the end, they all started thinking it was fun, and we could try that and we'll do that. But then it was like at the end they were like, no, I want to have a really effective barbarian, so I'm going to change my race to this, or they want to fine tune their character to be better, and halfling doesn't work for all the classes in their mind. So it quickly fell apart. But in the very beginning, I almost had them all talked into. We were going to play Waterdeep Dragon Heist as all halflings, which I thought would be really fun and would be really interesting, but I couldn't get the buy-in.
And like that's, I don't know, and I guess that's a DM thing where I do just get really excited about stuff like that. But I have to remember that like character creation is very personal for players. And where I'll play just about anything, It's also, I'll play just about anything because I'm usually invited to a one-shot or something, and I'm not playing like a longer running character. But if I am playing a longer running character, I kind of want to be my human variant, whatever, or I want to play this tiefling paladin of Asmodeus. And that's just because you get excited about the character that you're creating. So I don't know, like a whole Out of the Abyss where you're all drow would be really cool on paper. Might not be the most fun for every player, but playing like a 2 or 3 shot where everybody's dwarves, you can probably get the buy-in a little easier for something like that, or halflings, like you were saying. So
yeah.
So I don't know.
I think it's all about the buy-in, right? It's like talking to those players in the very beginning, and just be like, this is a cool idea. It probably doesn't have to be a long one too. It doesn't have to be like a 3-year campaign. It could be like a 5 or 6 session game that has a cool thing to it. Like you're taking the ring to Mordor and you're throwing it in, you know? So it could be something just like that.
So yeah,
I think that's
anyway. Cool. So that's my bardic inspiration. I'm trying to be better about thinking about it and getting those out, because I'm always like, usually the morning of being like, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
Except for today, I'm sleeping. I feel off too. I apologize, everybody. I didn't do my intro. Okay. It's awful. But Lucien, what did you do in games this week? If you want to talk about that.
Monday night, again, we're on hiatus as the Monday night game hasn't taken off yet. I might be looking to start trying to play in a campaign for Monday night. And I probably won't start running one for a bit yet, because I want to figure out what my new work schedule is going to be, because it's going to be a little bit crazy, and I got to figure out what days are going to be right. So once I get that all figured out, I'll start my campaign back up again and get going. But I did play on Wednesday our Tomb of Annihilation. It sounds like we're at the final door. Something's about to happen, and our next session will be our last session.
Wow.
So it is. This is going to be it.
I'm excited to talk to you about that, because I mean, I've read it, so I know it's happening, and it's just crazy.
Now, one thing, going back to a little bit of the news we talked about just for a second there, now in Tomb of Annihilation, we have ran across some Modrons.
Yeah.
Okay. I won't spoil it too much, but there is some Modron stuff going on in Tomb of Annihilation. Also, I don't think it's in, it might be in Waterdeep, but I know for sure in Dungeon of the Mad Mage, you also run into a Modron or so.
They're in Out of the Abyss.
Descent into Avernus, but you might run into something Modron like. What about in Secrets of Saltmarsh? Was there any link to a Modron anywhere in that book?
No. There's Modrons in Out of the Abyss, though, but there's not Modrons in Saltmarsh.
So I was wondering if we would wouldn't it be cool if our next adventure would be about the Modrons? I think that'd be really, I could see Chris Perkins writing a full campaign arc about the Modrons.
Heck yeah.
So. All right, so back to Tomb of Annihilation. I was thinking that was really good. So we've got one more session to go. Now, one of our players is having surgery this Wednesday. He's having something done with his vocal cords, so he won't be able to talk.
Oh, okay. So he just types out the whole thing. I got it.
Yeah, well, he wanted to do that because he didn't want to skip. Yeah, he's like, I want to skip Dungeons and Dragons. But our Dungeon Master's like, well, it's going to be our last session. Why don't we just have everybody be comfortable and ready?
Yeah.
It's going to be the last big hurrah, and then we're moving on, right? So we get one more session, which won't be this week, but it'll be next week. We'll have the big finale. We'll be able to talk about it on the show. Hopefully, I've been trying not to spoil it, but I know Tomb of Annihilation has been out for a long time, so if you haven't played it, you really should go back and play it. Find a Dungeon Master to run it for you. And then we're starting the new adventure. So we're going to be playing Dragon Heist, and then probably moving right into Dungeon of the Mad Mage. So we're going to dive into that. Or, I don't know, maybe if Monday's announcement's really good, and it won't be out in time because we're going to start it up here coming pretty quick. So I don't even know.
Well, you'll have Waterdeep to, like, you might go Waterdeep to the new announcement. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, something like that. So I'm playing a Halfling Cavalier character. I've been wanting to play the new Fighter Cavalier. I loved Cavalier from the old AD&D game. It was my favorite class of all time. It was my favorite character I'd ever played was a Cavalier. And I'm going to play a Halfling one just for fun because I think it'd be fun. And I'm going to be riding around on an armored Rottweiler.
Yeah.
It's going to be my mount.
Nice.
I might even dip into Ranger just to give me some Ranger abilities with the pet. That'd be nice being able to talk to my pet or make the pet a little stronger to make it through fights and things like that. But the idea is to play the whole way through as a halfling that rides a Rottweiler everywhere in full armor. So I think that'd be really fun. But that's what we did. The game itself was really fun. Again, I don't want to spoil it too much, but we did get to fight a coven. And fighting a hag coven is always really fun because they can be super powerful, and they have a lot of cool tricks to mess with a Dungeons & Dragons party. And it was fun. The Dungeon Master did a good job at trying to challenge us. That it came down to some really interesting spell uses to beat them. It was a cool interaction of what's going on in this weird area, and what's part of their magic or what's just natural to the tomb itself, kind of thing that's going on. So it was a really fun encounter. And if you haven't added hags into an adventure that you run, I definitely recommend you go out, you check them out, and you run your players, even if it's against a single hag, or even if they're high enough level that you can throw them against a coven. Throw that in, even as like a side adventure. They're traveling through a village and there's something going on. There's something that feels off about the village.
Yeah.
And then really have a nice little side adventure about what's going on with them. And then they can move on to back onto their main thing. What about you? Have you had in any of your campaigns, have you got to use them? Have you got to play against hags and covens and things like that?
No, hags are great because they make for really good villains lower level. And then when you start putting them in covens, they become a really good higher level, interesting thing. And I've used them in, I think, just about, like, I've used them in so many campaigns. We were talking about Saltmarsh, and I had to do a lot of those side quests, and I ended up using a bunch of hags that were trying to get rid of another hag because they were like encroaching on each other's territory. So they hired the party to do that, and then the party being found out that, yeah, they're destroying evil here, but they're being used by evil, and it was this interesting back and forth that they had. And I've used them in just about, I don't know, like a lot of games. Like I like hags a lot. And I think in my Shadowfell game, I'm going to introduce like some creepy Shadowfell hag that can, you know, for the right price, offer them information or point them in the right direction. But that price is going to be something not monetary. Like they need to go do some kind of evil deed to help her out or something. Trying to keep with that theme of like, you know, you can get where you want faster if you know, do the wrong thing, basically, like hurt people or step on toes or something like that. But if you want to be righteous and do the right thing, well, it's going to cost you to get there like a lot later on, kind of thing. So, yeah.
The one that just recently there was a playtest adventure we did for Extra Life and with the Wizards of the Coast people. And in that adventure, they had disguised hags who hired the party to go kill an evil unicorn.
Okay.
And so the adventure is about, wait a minute, this unicorn's not evil. What's going on? Who are we working for? But then the adventure did something really cool in it where it said, or if you really want to throw your party a curveball, make the unicorn actually evil. Because their first thought is, wait a minute, we've been duped. But what if it's two evil creatures that are fighting over this forest, and one has hired the party to come in and help them out under a disguise? You don't know who they are yet. But now you figured out, and now whose side are you on? Do you fight them both? Do you only fight one? Do you move on? Do you never figure it out? And I thought that was an interesting thing for them to put in the adventure, that this is the way we're writing it. But if you want to spice it up a little bit, you could do it this way too. Or you could do it this way. So, and those hags were pretty tough. And they fought like a 4th or 5th level party, and they definitely had to struggle to beat them. It was pretty fun. So.
I think it's in Volos that has like the more information on hags. But they have really interesting, I want to say lore, but just like mechanics. And it kind of encourages you like, maybe they grab, like they should all have one spell that is an item of some kind. So they pull out like a jar of black liquid and they throw it on the ground and it breaks, and that's the black tentacle spell that comes up and grabs your party. Or, you know, something mechanical. Or I think they were saying like if they cast Cure Wounds on themselves to heal, they actually have a jar of bees that come out with string and like sew up her wounds or something. And I always liked that you could really flavor a hag really well. And Wizards has pushed you to make a hag more interesting rather than just an old crone that can cast spells. They should feel like creepy and fun. So that's cool. Yeah. I like Hags a lot.
Like you could dive into fairy tale stuff, right?
Oh yeah,
all the fairy tales are steeped in witches and hags and those people that live on the outside of the community and prey on the kids and stuff. So yeah, definitely. All good storylines. So that's what I did in my Dungeons & Dragons 2 Annihilation. Vanguard is probably going to be level 11 when we finish this. So that's about as far as I'm going to get my War Wizard. I love the War Wizard class. It's been my favorite wizard to play. I love that character. I'm going to try to find other places that I might be able to play that character and continue that adventure on, because I've really grown attached to that character, which has been really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely a person who likes to make lots of different characters, so it's okay for me to jump from one to another, playing one-shots and short campaigns and long campaigns. But this one definitely connected with me. I really like the idea of Vanguard, the War Mage, so I'm thinking I'll find another place to play him somewhere at some point. So, what about Jordan? What kind of Dungeons and Dragons shenanigans did Jordan get into?
I played Acquisitions Incorporated last week. We are also coming to the conclusion of that. I think we have 2 sessions left, maybe 3. But the whole story of Ac Inc. is that we're trying to find these orrery pieces that every time we get a new one, it gives you like some pretty insane magical stuff. And Drawn Enterprises is trying to find these orrery pieces, and Acquisitions Incorporated, our franchise, which is called Joint Venture, is trying to find these orrery pieces. And we got the last one from the lady that created them. And she basically said, like, well, I don't really care who does what with them, but if you want to stop Dran Enterprises, you're probably going to want to find a place that is closely linked to the Far Realm, because they're trying to pull these creatures out of the Far Realm. So that is where we're going now. We're trying to like get any kind of information on what to do. And I'm going to play today, and I'm really excited. But we got to level 6. And now I have 3 parts of this orrery, so I can do things like the orrery grants you spells that I probably like shouldn't have as a player. Like they're really high up there. Like I can cast teleport, and that's like I don't know. I think you have to be level 10 or 11 wizard to do that, and I'm a level 6 sorcerer that can cast teleport. And the new orrery part gave me I can cast fly and like run around like that. So lots of really cool stuff. Like it's just it's really. And I've been very happy that my party is like, well, no, you're the magic guy. Take the magic items because we don't understand it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay. Because I've just made myself this charismatic sorcerer that like has a dad that's a dragon. So my arcana and stuff is very low, but it's been kind of fun to have all these powerful magic items, and we're like connecting the pieces together, and I'm able to do really cool stuff. So yeah, we have a destination where we think the Far Realm is touching the Prime Material Plane, and we're going to go there and hopefully ambush Drawn Enterprises and not get our butts kicked is the goal. We've made some friends, and I was going to bring that up today in the game, because there's been a couple of like people that we have either like paid off or made friends with, and I think the adventure feels like we can rally those guys together to help us in some way. And even if the adventure doesn't have that specifically in that, I think our DM would just think that's really cool and try to like let us use some of the NPCs that we've made friends with. So yeah. So that's really fun. Again, like loving Acquisitions Incorporated. It's just it's goofy, it's silly, the humor is right up my alley, and I just love it. It's super fun. And then my Shadowfall game got canceled, which is sad. One of our players, like I think it was a couple hours before we were going to play, they messaged us and they were like, oh, by the way, I have a cold. I didn't even think about this, but you have a baby. Should I not come over? And we were like, oh yeah, you should not come over at all. So we canceled kind of last minute, which bummed me out, but it did give me some more time to prep. But we're in a predicament where they have the Hand of Vecna, and unlike a lot of your players, they talk on Discord and they kind of discuss like what they're going to do before the game starts. My players don't like to do that. So they have the Hand of Vecna, and I think everybody internally has an idea what they want to do with this, but I won't really know what they want to do until they get back to the table. So I prepped as much as I could, but I think it's going to be a session that I really have to just go by this. I just have to to fly and improv it, because I don't know what's going to happen. Are they going to like bury it? Are they going to try and destroy it? What are they going to wear it? And if they do attune to it, which one is going to do the attuning and what that means for that particular character? It's kind of crazy. So I don't know.
What if they don't use it at all?
And that's the thing, like, if they just, like, hold on to it, I have an idea that, the people they stole it from obviously want it back, so there's going to be people out searching for them and things like that, and it's such a powerful artifact that I have to think that it, like, pulses out to the world to be found, kind of like the One Ring, like, it wants to be found, so, I don't know, we'll see, but...
It keeps falling out of somebody's pocket.
Yeah, exactly, something, they have to put a string through the bone or something, like, hold it on, but it's... Gosh, I'm really excited about this. And we ended, like, I think it was early November. And then we said basically, like, we can play next week, but we think the baby's going to be born. And then the baby was born, and we haven't played since November. So they've had a long time to think about this. They're very eager to get back into playing our Shadowfell game. I'm very eager to play in our Shadowfell game. So yeah, and we're gonna play noon tomorrow. So usually we play around like 4 or 5 o'clock, and we play for like, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours. But I think with a noon start time, we can play a little later. So they might try to get as much D&D in as possible because we haven't played in a long time. So yeah,
very cool.
But that'll be really fun. Ultimately, they're trying to get to the city of Gloomrot to hopefully find somebody who can get them back to the prime material plane and they can get home. But now they have this added, like, what do I do with this Hand of Vecna kind of thing? And what is that going to mean? Like, if they just come walking in, displaying the hand openly and things like that. So there's lots of possibilities for me to do really cool stuff. And again, I'm using that 4th edition book, Gloomrot, Shadowfell, and Beyond. And it's got a whole bunch of information about the Shadowfell and about the city of Gloomrot. And it's just a really excellent resource book. And so, again, I would encourage you guys, like, if you're interested in, we have a 5th edition Eberron book now, but if you're interested in Dark Sun or a lot of these things, like, go buy those books, those PDFs. They're not terribly expensive, and you can easily use that information to transfer into a 5th edition game. Because, like, sometimes you just need to know that this NPC is a devil, or this NPC is this, and it really adds to the world a lot. And I don't know, I was flipping through that book the other day and reading it, and it was really fun. So
now your Warforged is in what campaign?
My Warforged is in a homebrew campaign that we stopped playing to play Acquisitions Incorporated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got to the end. We got to the end of that campaign, and I think I'm level 11 or 12 now, maybe higher. But we got to the end of that campaign, and then we decided we wanted to play Acquisitions Incorporated. The DM was very excited about it. He thought it would be a lot of fun, just like a goofy game that wouldn't last too long because it's only 6 levels. And so we've been playing that. And then when we're done with that, I think we're going to try and like super finish Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and then we'll see where we go from there. We have another friend that wants to start a new campaign. And we have, but we also have like our Hot Springs Island characters that people want to play. And I think a few of us are chomping at the bit for some high level play. Like we want to go from levels like 13 to 20. And I'm game for that. It just means a lot of like original stuff, and unless you want to get into Dungeon of the Mad Mage or something like that, but that is just a large dungeon crawl, and I like to do a more narrative
13 levels down, and
so
interesting.
Yeah,
cool.
So that's that.
Well, and there's always a new campaign on the horizon.
That's always
games.
And then I've been reading a lot of Invisible Sun lately because I just got back into that game. And I found that there is an introductory one-shot adventure online, so I grabbed that. And now I want to, because that's what I was complaining to you about. I think I was like, I really love Invisible Sun, but it didn't come with a how do I play the game. Because it's such a surreal kind of like, it's like Salvador Dali painting the RPG. It's all odd like that. So now I really want to run this one shot, and we'll see if I don't know, find the time to do that. I might like practice with my friends, and then maybe I will try to stream it or something, because that could be really cool. But I was really excited about this. I found the Invisible Sun game comes with something called a Sooth deck, which is kind of like tarot cards, and they affect the game, and you kind of flip them over at key points, and it changes how magic works, and it changes interesting stuff. Well, they all have really not funny, but they all have really interesting pictures and titles, kind of like a tarot deck. And I was playing with the deck the other day, and I was kind of flipping over characters, and I was like, this could be a really cool way to build a character or a campaign. And so I started with a character, and I just flip a card, and I'm like, okay, like it's kind of like a devil motif. I think I'll start with a tiefling. And then I flipped another one, and I'm like, okay, they're like a rogue and like this. And I don't know. So I kind of want to try a live stream at some point where I'm using this Sooth deck to build a campaign, and just be like, again, you can be inspired just about anywhere, and you can just kind of sit down and flip cards and come up with something. So
yeah, Adam Koval built a Terra deck for one of his campaigns he was doing, a D&D 5e campaign. And in the very beginning, he had all of his players sit through a little session, and he used what flipped him over and then was telling them stuff and kind of weaved the story around what these cards were pulling.
Nice,
so he's almost doing it live, and it was like letting his subconscious just latch on to what these cards had meant and how that was going to affect the characters in the adventure they were about to play. And he built it into the world that it was a big thing that everybody went and got readings constantly. Like it was just, everybody believed in it. Everybody understood it. It was like a normal societal thing for you to often go and get your readings done. And it was just like, it was almost like a religion upon itself. And he did a really good job of that. And I always felt that was cool, that he'd be able to flip over a few cards and then he already had the adventure in mind, but then massage it to match kind of what the cards was saying. So like make a few tweaks here or there based on, oh, you guys got the death card. What does that mean? Or, oh, here's the bountiful sun card. What is that going to mean? You know, these interesting things. I think that'd be a fun way to play a game. I would, and just to have the cool artwork and flipping them in front of the players, and the players looking at them and wondering what's going on. And that's such a cool thing. That's something I would love to try to do in a game.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I didn't think about like working it into a 5e game, but like, I don't know. I have that. And there's actually an online resource for the cards as well. And so, I don't know. It'd be, we're always doing that. We're like, oh, I like this mechanic. I kind of want to like work it into this game or something like that. But this is the same thing. So I'd like to do that at some point in my life. Is the stream. I might I want to stream it because I want it to be like totally improvised and just see what we can come up with and what chat can help come up with, and like build a campaign setting around the cards you flip up. And I've seen people do this before with like Magic the Gathering cards. They'll go buy like a booster and they'll just kind of flip the cards over there and like, okay, I'm getting like a creature vibe from this, and this is more like a construct. So like, let's have like a golem. I think a golem is going to be at the center point of this one shot or something like that. And it's just like, you can be inspired anywhere. It's really cool. So,
and going back to Invisible Sun, that's got a lot of cool things in it that are new to tabletop RPG stuff, because not only do you play the session, but it talks about doing one-on-one sessions. It talks about how to interact online and use stuff like being sent through emails and handouts, and like you're running this campaign in a surreal way. And it's not just, hey, everybody, let's get together for 3 hours and play our session. There's a lot going on in there. So it's almost like its own experience that you're creating if you want to run an Invisible Sun thing. Yeah. So it's definitely something cool to check out if you haven't checked out some of the stuff that they're doing over there. Yeah. It looks cool.
They call it development mode, which I think is not the best name for it. But playing at the table is like regular play, and then development mode would be if Lucian's in a Invisible Sun game with me through Discord, or like they do the example of like you meet at a coffee shop. And your player is like, I was thinking about my character and I really want to try and do this. And you're like, oh, okay. And so you bring out your phone because you have the Invisible Sun app, and the cards, the Sooth deck of cards, they also have numbers on them. And so you can use the card numbers as dice rolls. So the idea is that in development mode, you're flipping over these cards and you're like, let's see if you succeeded. Oh, you got a 7. And then this card that is a 7 also has something about like being sneaky. So the DM or the game master kind of weaves a sneaky success. Like you got what you wanted to do, but you did it through like, subterfuge and things like that. So it's a really interesting game, and it's a game that you could if you have very active players, could very much be like a whole long process of just constant I don't know, just like developing the world as you go. And then you get back to play and they're like, oh, by the way, I did this adventure and I got us this. And then all of a sudden the player can be really excited because he did this adventure and he brought like a new key or something that unlocks a door that they're having problems with. And so
it would be cool too, because like for your character, you could create your own Twitter account, maybe like a Facebook thing and whatever. And then the DM could send you stuff on that to that character. And you could really then tie in a lot of stuff and make it like a living game that's going on in the real world. Because that's Invisible Sun's about this weird veil over the world that we live in, or a world that looks like the world we live in, but has other stuff going on. So it could be very cool and very fun. There's a lot of potential there for some really interesting mechanics and interactions and stuff. It's a really cool concept.
No, it's a really cool game. I really like it, which is why I'm getting back into it, because I just like I start reading about the lore and stuff and I'm like, yes, it's just so rich and deep. And
you have the black cube, you gotta use it.
Gotta use it at some point, so we'll see. Is there anything else we want to talk about?
That was it. That's our show.
All right. Remember, we're doing our 100 show, our episode 100. So hop into the Discord and leave us some questions. You can email questions to Jordan with a PH in the middle at gmail.com. And we would love to hear. We have a whole bunch of questions so far, and I think we'll probably have a lot to talk about, but we'll go longer on episode 100 if we feel. And we'll also take questions from the chat. So if you guys want to like save your questions for chat, you can do that. But having it early lets us kind of know what we're going to talk about. So be a fun mailbag episode. But yeah, that's our show, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out. I am sorry that I was so late and I feel real bad about it. So don't hate me. And I will set an alarm next week. It'll be great.
You don't miss the 100th.
Yeah, no, it'll be awful.
So, all right. Thanks, everybody. It's good to see Elise. I know Elise had some stuff done, and she's back and raring to go. So good to see her in chat. Thanks for all of the normal people, and thanks for some of the new people I saw in chat too. There was a bunch of new people swung over and checked us out. So can't wait to see you. Put your comments in the YouTube comment area and send us stuff on Twitter, because we want to talk with you guys. So can't wait to see you next week.
All right. We'll see you. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Woo.